right, welcome back to Journalisming. I'm here with Clavicular Clav, episode 3. Thank you for spending some time with me. We just wrapped up. Absolutely. It was a lot of fun. I learned a lot. We got a looksmaxxing course for me. Now I have to go do the work.
We're going to go through looksmaxxing, I guess.
Yes, looksmaxxing.
Mitchell just kind of sets these things up and then fills me in, after the fact. So is there anything specific that you wanted to get started with, or? No. I was just saying, I don't know usually like how these things work. I was just saying you set them up. Nothing.
So he's with Barstool Sports. He just wants to basically get a look.
Okay.
And then also some questions about streaming and all that.
Okay. Absolutely.
How's it been going with the 24-hour stream? I mean, nobody streams more than you. Yeah,
that is true. I have been getting kind of run down. It's a lot of hours to try to stay on live consistently, even when you're not doing a stream marathon, but then you add that factor in where you're supposed to be on camera as much as possible. Well, I do have people kind of take over the night shift sometimes or hop in if I need to run upstairs and take a phone call. It's certainly like 14 plus hours actually being on camera doing stuff.
Yeah, so, no, I mean, that's a lot.
Yeah, it's brutal.
And you've been doing that for a while now, too, because even before this new MOG order, it was already...
Still like 10 hours.
10 hours, yeah, every day.
Oh, yeah.
Do you credit that for your success?
I would say that consistency beats talent for streaming. Absolutely. Because if you're not putting in those streaming hours and having some sort of consistency to your schedule, you're just not going to build a community that knows, okay, around this general time, this is when Clav's going to be streaming. So if you're missing that element, it's not going to work.
Yeah. And then the clipping.
Yep.
That's so huge. What do you think of I know you've kind of criticized the vernacular that's been created out of it. Obviously, there's a lot of maxing jokes, but
correct.
After the ASU frat mogger incident, what do you think of all these kind of, gesture maxing, all of that?
Well, gesture maxing and most of the words are sort of popularized by me, but I would say they're just misused in a lot of scenarios, or they'll just combine other words. Like there was like jest or goon, and
yes,
it kind
goon
of
maxing.
Yeah, it kind of just takes away from sort of the words that are real, and it's like almost like a red herring.
So gesture maxing good.
Gesture maxing,
looks maxing, of course.
Well, yeah, I mean, and just the way we talk in like the PSL community, looksmax community.
What's PSL?
It's just 3 old forums.
Got it.
So from like, the 2010s and way back, that kind of is the old gen.
When's the first time you went on one of those forums?
Dude, it's hard to even remember. But when I was young, I mean, I didn't really start posting or being consistent with it for a little while, but I don't really remember because the first time I came across, but I know it was when I was sometime in high school. So yeah, basically what I'm trying to say is we just add maxing to the end of everything. It's not a joke. It's just the way that I've talked and the way that people on the forum talk. So when I'm doing these interviews and I'll say something like travel maxing or whatever.
Hat maxing.
Yeah. It like some people will laugh and it'll go viral, and I don't get it because I'm just talking in my normal vernacular, but this is just such a new thing. It's so interesting to people.
Yeah, so the comedy aspect, when people find you kind of comedic, you don't understand that?
No, not really, because I'm not trying to be.
Because some people do find it like a lot of joy and kind of the I don't want to call it absurdity, but more so the life that you live.
Yeah, I guess you could say that.
And the looks maxing, hat maxing. It's hard to hear hat maxing and not laugh.
Why?
Because I was watching a stream when I was downstairs. I was in the bullpen, like a jester. And I was waiting in the bullpen, and you said, I may have to hat max. I laughed at that. But that doesn't take away from, I know the looks maxing you take very seriously, which makes a lot of sense.
Correct. Well, just maxing out any metric is very, very important to me. And I'm sort of willing to do a lot of things that other people wouldn't be to get success with looks maxing, whether it be pharmaceutical intervention or whatever method, regardless of how dangerous. So that's kind of why we say maxing, right? And not just self-improvement, because that's not actually pushing things to the limit, pushing things to its logical conclusion.
I saw a video of you when I think you were probably back, it might have been high school, not too long ago, but you said it was kind of a, hey, don't think about it not working out. What if it works out to the max? Do you think it has so far?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that my point has been kind of proven the more that I get into streaming, because it's like I said that looks were sort of the thing that comes first. And once you max those out, all the success will follow. And that's been exactly the case for me.
Where do you, because I mean, it's pretty obvious not to glaze you, but you are a very smart guy. But where does intelligence rank in the looks maxing community? Is it important, or does the looks maxing kind of elevate it? Or shine more light on it?
It's a necessity.
Okay.
Right? So if you're not someone who's able to properly interpret some of the things I'm talking about, because we're, and all these different interactions that could occur in your body if you're taking two compounds together, if you're not doing super comprehensive research and really having a grasp on this advanced pharmacology that is even college level sometimes, you're actually going to wind up detrimenting yourself.
Yeah.
And looks minning. So, and I always make
looks minning. Okay.
And I always make that clarification. Like, retards should not be trying to replicate all this kind of stuff. And
it's interesting because, I mean, we were just talking about how 12 hours, right? You're streaming, and then right now it's 24.
Correct.
And before this, you see the clips and you see the streams. You're talking really in depth about the whether it be peptides, pharmaceutical interventions, all of that.
Yeah.
Do you find you aren't able to continue to research those at the level that you used to?
Well, the good thing about me is it sort of feels like my entire life has been a build up to this moment.
Okay.
Where now I spent the years ladaring.
What was that word? Sorry.
Ladaring?
Yeah, what's that mean?
Lay down and rot.
Lay down? Okay. And what do you do that?
Basically what it means is like just staying at home, sitting on your PC, doing nothing. So I was at home rotting while everyone else was out, partying most weekends and stuff like that. I would sit during lunch and be on my computer researching. So now I have the authority where I don't need to be doing this new research to be able to speak on these things.
Even if there is kind of new, I know peptides are really big right now. There's probably stuff out there in these communities that I don't know about. I'm late, but you would have been on top of if you didn't have this. I mean, the streaming takes up all of your time.
Correct. Yeah, no, that's true. But I'm able to easily work in a solid amount of research. One of my favorite resources to use is Perplexity AI.
Okay.
Because you're able to ask it questions and actually get direct references to different, PubMed articles or studies. So the information isn't just sourced from Reddit like it is on ChatGPT.
Yeah. Okay, so you're a fan of AI?
Yeah, I would say so.
Okay. No, it's interesting because a lot of these movements that have come through at the level that they have, looks maxing, because you feel that it has kind of exploded probably since COVID, but you were on it before it, right?
Around that time.
All right. And then for a ladaring person, is that the proper terminology? Sorry if when should somebody ladar? How do they know when they've ascended if you're a ladaring?
Oh, in terms of your research?
Yeah, or just more. Is ladaring useful when you're trying to, let's say,
learn a new skill? Yeah.
Okay.
There's plenty of times where it makes sense to rot and prioritize learning a high value skill instead of doing like a lot of these essentially useless activities that people engage in so frequently, like watching sports.
Okay, yeah.
partying, and people would say, oh, well, that's hypocritical. You party. Well, it's like, yeah, because it's what I do for work. First of all, like I'm literally getting paid when I do it. And second of all, I've already done all of the research I need and spent the time in the previous years. So now I'm in a position where it makes sense.
Do you think you would, let's say you were not streaming, you think you would party as much or no?
Fuck no.
Fuck no. Okay, so you don't like partying, or is that?
No, so for me to enjoy actually clubbing, I have to take a lot of different substances sort of to like be anti-maxed and like fit in with normies. So I'm able to enjoy it, but I'm causing my body oxidative stress.
Yeah.
And it's just an amount of drug exposure I would never subject myself to for literally no ROI if I wasn't streaming and getting paid.
All right. So every time you do something, you're looking at it from the lens of an ROI?
Yes.
Okay. That's ROI maxing to an extent?
Correct.
All right. If I ever say I'm maxing with the wrong word in front of it, please let me know, because I want to make sure that I'm not a jester like kind of the clipping pages. Nothing. No.
You actually want to learn the yeah, I get it.
No, I actually do. I find it very fascinating because it is a world that you've come from, and it's obvious you're on top of the streaming world right now, but it came from looksmaxxing. So to see where it came from is the more interesting part. Instead of asking you a question like, hey, what do you think about this political thing? Or why did you do this? Because also, I mean, I think a lot of people often forget you're 20 years old or 21.
Just turned 21, yeah.
Happy birthday, by the way. I think people forget that, and they expect you to be like this.
Yeah, no, and I always clarify that too. When people ask me in these street interviews about like my finances and stuff, I'm like, why would anyone use me as a reference for financial advice when I literally have a gambling deal? I'm a live streamer. Like, it's the stupidest thing ever to just listen to people who have no authority on issues. So I make that very clear that if I don't feel like I have a comprehensive understanding of a subject, I'll just fuck it off.
And I want to go back to normies. How do you know when a normie, you're around normies? Do you feel it? Do you have kind of a normie radar? Like a gaydar, but a normie radar? Normie-dar, I guess you would call it.
Well, a normie is the most of the population. So
how much of the population do you think it is?
Well,
like if you had to estimate.
The percentage of people on the autism spectrum is quite low. I'd imagine it's around 1% of the population.
Are you on that?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's almost like you're looking for the opposite, looking for the neurodivergent people. So you kind of just assume that people are normies unless you spot behavior that says otherwise. And
what's that behavior?
Like if you see a guy in the bar who's just like in the corner being awkward, you can tell has a bunch of anxiety, has like the tremors and stuff, then that would be someone who's likely ND.
All right, ND stands for?
Neurodivergent.
Neurodivergent, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And when did you first know that about yourself, that you were neurodivergent?
I always knew that I was a little bit different since about, like, I'd say 7th, 8th grade.
All right. Did you play sports growing up?
Yeah, I played baseball.
All right. Are you from New England?
No. So I lived in Cape Cod for a little while, but I grew up in New Jersey, Hoboken, New Jersey.
Oh, okay.
So yeah.
Yeah, you went to university for a little bit or no?
About 3 weeks, yeah.
3 weeks, Sacred Heart, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm from Connecticut. That's the only reason I ask. So you realized you were neurodivergent at a younger age, and you've gotten to this point now, but it feels as if you do have good social skills. You'll see it and is that because you're getting them from maybe alcohol or?
Yeah.
Because I see you on stream talking with women specifically, and I'm like, oh, like this is a guy that is definitely, you're not a weirdo on stream.
Yeah, I would say it's definitely like blocking out certain excitatory neurotransmitters with something like a pre-gab or alcohol. But in a lot of cases, what's kind of helped me is realizing how low the stakes are of any interaction with someone who is like just a regular, maybe college kid, regular day-to-day guy that you would encounter when, I'm streaming to, thousands of people. So I kind of just keep that in the back of my mind. And that's not really something that's like me trying to be egotistical or whatever.
Mm-mm.
It's just like, there's really nothing that could go wrong. Like if I blow this interaction, the stakes are low. Whereas, when I was at an event like Brand Risk not too long ago, and I'm surrounded by famous people and having to interact with them, I had a bit of like, an anxiety attack there.
That was this past Friday, the one, the Gypsy Crusader or whatever his name is?
Yeah,
Gypsy
because
King?
there's like a lot of people coming up to me with cameras and stuff, and there actually is stakes, right? If you blow the interaction or leave a bad impression, it does matter. So that's kind of why that would occur.
So when you're in a group like that,
Mm-hmm.
it's because there's probably 200 people there, but a lot of those people were streaming. There was probably millions of viewers on if you added all the streams up.
Correct.
Is it not fun for you if you don't have any of those inhibitors, and alcohol inside your system?
It's not really about being fun. Like I can enjoy something like that, but the interactions and kind of just make it very difficult. All that's on the forefront of my mind is like, am I being awkward right now? Are people looking at me? So shit like that kind of just gets to me and like ruins the experience, I guess you could say.
And that's always been the case for you? Or?
Yeah, I'd say so. But when I was kind of growing up, I would avoid anything that could put me in that position and usually just stay at home.
All right. And so then that's the Ladaring.
Right.
And is that a recommended stage for people as they're trying to ascend?
I think that you need to sort of work towards like having some sort of high value skill. Absolutely. But what that means for each individual is going to vary drastically. But yeah, I do believe that you should be comprehensively researching everything that you do, whether you're a CS major in college or you want to do cybersecurity. It's like you should want to be the best and you should want to be prioritizing that to put yourself in the position to be money maxed years down the line rather than playing video games, right?
What do you think of people who watch right now? March Madness is going on, basketball. What do you think of people that are obsessed with sports, watching sports?
They're retarded. And in a way, I almost wish that I could enjoy it. But the reason that people have to intoxicate themselves so much is to make themselves like essentially the equivalent of someone who's super low IQ. And if the game was so good, if the game was so enjoyable, you wouldn't need a 12 rack of beers.
Got it.
Right?
What if you enjoyed it without the 12 rack? Or are you the low IQ then? Like,
no,
quote unquote. I'm not.
I don't think so. Not necessarily. Maybe you just have a different outlook on the world. But sort of when I see March Madness or any sports event, I just like kind of think about the systems that go into it. The whole thing is really for profit, all the brackets and stuff like that. Like that's really
the gambling.
Yeah. So I'm kind of like, okay, this is actually what's going on here. This is the incentive behind everything.
Do you find any joy in watching any sport, martial arts,
and that's
football?
That's not that I don't. That's not that I have like necessarily a problem with it. I'm kind of just like analyzing it in a way, like what's actually happening here, rather than like the enjoyment of the game. So everything, like my brain works like with systems, I would say.
All right, so the systems are kind of, you'll look at a video game and people will, let's say they go to work, they go to school, then they hop on Discord with their friends, they play Fortnite.
Correct.
You look at that as a system, like who's benefiting, and the ROI for yourself is much lower than the ROI of someone who created the game or is selling coins in the game.
Well, more so what I mean is like what actually goes into things, like how are they created? Like, when you think about a video game, how big was the team that developed this? Like the hardware that allows the game to run locally. There's all these different things kind of distract my brain from the actual experience. And I would say that in a lot of ways, being a normie is better because you could get entertainment from just shit like that. You can have a laugh. You can make it a social experience with your friends. So yeah, it really is an ignorance is bliss thing.
And do you feel like you can't even enjoy things?
No, I can't.
No,
I really can't.
Yeah. And that ROI kind of question's always in your head.
Yeah. And I think about, people going out to the pub with their friends and, watching Sunday football. And I'm like, maybe I want to experience this. Maybe this is a cool thing socially. But the more you think about it, it really is the biggest fucking waste ever. So I'm not missing out on much. It'll just be like a passing by thought of like, oh yeah, maybe I'm missing this experience, but it really is for the best, I guess.
Yeah. And going back to looksmaxxing, are there legacy looksmaxxers that kind of created the community that is today, that are legends to you, but may not be legends to other people in the general normie social media world?
I would say actually one of the early guys to the game, he's been posting for a long time, actually lives here, Andrew Jenick. He kind of went from like a super skinny guy at my age, like, maybe 130, 140 pounds, blasted roids and ascended from that. So like it was one of the better transformations I've seen.
How old is Andrew Jenick?
24 now.
And the downsides of steroids, are they kind of overblown in the normie world?
No, they're not.
All right, they are.
So they're not overblown at all, but what's overblown is how difficult they are to deal with. It's quite easy to deal with the side effects.
Are there any long-term ones though, or is that overblown?
Yeah, obviously there's going to be like the left ventricular hypertrophy and
That's the heart?
Yeah, and then your cholesterol, organ hypertrophy from like something like HGH. So yeah, there is like long-term effects, but you kind of have to think about whether or not you value like 80 years as a sheep or, 75 years as a lion.
So more like it would be kind of just 5 years instead of, I guess.
It's all dose dependent.
All right. And Andrew Jenick feels as if he did the right thing.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously, it's kind of tough. I thought about things differently when I was 21, and I'm sure in 10 years I'll think differently as well. Is there a point in time that's too late to start looksmaxxing?
No, there's never a point where you can't maximize certain things, but you could get the most value when you're doing it during puberty because there's a lot of different growth pathways that are still open that you could leverage, right? So that's like your growth plates, and you could take something like HGH to really elevate your what would otherwise be accomplished with your genetics.
And these are decisions made at a very young age.
Correct.
And so you have to be very aggressive.
Yeah.
And typically, I mean, it's made, you've talked about it where you were making these decisions at a young age. Mm-hmm. It can go, what do you think about kids that are making kind of wrong decisions, or is there even a wrong decision in the looksmaxxing?
That's why it's really hard because, yeah, you do have to be aggressive. You do have to start extremely early with looksmaxxing, but like, are most teenagers going to do their due diligence with their research? Of course not.
And you're suggesting, and you've always said this, that unless you do the top level of research, you should not be doing any of this.
Correct.
And
so it's kind of it is a really hard dilemma because this is how you get the most results is starting early, but people won't have the intelligence to actually do things properly and could seriously detriment themselves. So people who are really going to be able to have those like sick transformations where they are coming in and like putting their body into an overdrive state during this super beneficial developmental period, it's going to be a very rare thing.
Very rare. All right. And what happens to people that fail in it?
That fail in it?
Yeah. Like, let's say
Well, if someone blasts a shit ton of testosterone, for example, because maybe they see a video I made talking about the benefits of test and how it can masculinize you. If they do that and they're 15 years old and they don't take an aromatase inhibitor, for example, they could actually fuse their growth plates super prematurely and ruin their development.
and that would be, is it better to be
catastrophic?
Catastrophic, yeah. So let's say you're 5'6" and jacked and 6'1" not jacked.
Height is more important.
Height is one. So the levels of it, it's height, hair, or if you had to rank the tiers of looks maxing within the community of like what's most important to ascend to the top level.
You really won't be able to mog without hair. And people will use like anecdotes of like a few guys.
Like The Rock or something.
Well, not even like a Jeremy Meeks. And they're like, oh, like you need hair? Like what about this guy? And it's like, okay, just give like a 1 in a million example, bro. Like as a general rule.
The outlier proves the rule almost.
No, the outlier is just like a sort of a cope because that's going to be so rare that you have that looks level that you can actually get away with a super big phalo of being bald, right? So for the average person, hair is a necessity to mog.
Hair is a necessity to mog. And then what's after height, hair?
Well, no, face is the most important thing.
Most important.
Yeah, so it just really depends on like how big of a flaw something is, right? So if you've got a essentially perfect face and your average height, it's not going to serve as a phalo, but it's not a halo either, right? But if you have a perfect face and then maybe you're 5'6", that actually is something that's going to come to your detriment.
And you're what, 6'1"?
6'2".
6'2", and you'll still height max, or no?
Yeah, sometimes, but it like to wear the lifted shoes, it's very difficult because the angle the sole sits makes it slightly obvious, and just the back, it's pretty easy to spot someone wearing like lifts. So I feel like with being on camera, you don't want to have like a Ron DeSantis moment where
yeah, with the boots.
Yeah. So you kind of just have to like decide, whether or not something makes sense. And if I'm gonna be like looksmaxxing, for example, I'll just like say it on camera because there's no point in trying to like hide that because like someone will, take like the picture and reverse search your shoes and like. You'll get like brutalized hard.
But let's say there's someone who's just looks maxing and not streaming, and they do height max.
You can get away with a lot more, yeah.
How do you let's say you height max, you get a girl, you bring her home. How do you get away with because you're gonna drop in height? Right.
So what you could either do is you could wait until you're in the bed to kick your shoes off, and that way she won't be able to perceive the height because you're laying down, you're horizontal. But if you are forced to take off your shoes for whatever reason, you can sag your pants down so that they conceal your heels, and you could tiptoe max is a good method.
Okay, tiptoe max. But let's say you wanted to form a relationship with the girl. Should it not matter then?
It almost is like a fun game, like seeing how long you can get away with it for.
How long do you think you would, let's just say, different collab, this streaming thing isn't happening, you just meet a girl when you're height maxing. How long do you think you could theoretically get away with height maxing before being caught? Forever?
I don't think I'd ever get caught.
With the same woman?
Yeah.
So like, she would know.
No, I'm extremely like tactical with it. So I would, like, for example, if you put like a book, sort of like just popping out from the underneath of your bed,
All right.
And you take your shoes, you like stand up and use that as like a vantage point.
Vantage. Okay, yeah. Because
So-
it's kind of like goes back to framing, which was always when used in bodybuilding communities as well.
Mhm.
Because you can look a certain way.
Right.
So vantage points are often forgotten about.
Correct.
Do you think shorter guys should not hang out with taller guys? Because it ruins the vantage point?
That's going to be too much to try to navigate, like trying to select your friend group based on height. It's not going to work.
You're so tactical. Do you think in another world you were a Navy SEAL?
No,
No.
dude, I can not even run a mile.
You can't run a mile.
I mean, I could, sure I could, but it wouldn't be.
Yeah, it wouldn't
Like,
be
what
pretty.
I mean is like, I'm not like a very athletic person.
But I feel like you could be. Let's say you got into martial arts, and I saw you with Santa Cruz.
Yeah, I get back into the swing of things very quickly. Like I had a run in January where I was training like 2 times a week. My cardio was rapidly improving,
Yeah.
but I just don't have time, and its priority is quite low. Like fighting is one of the most ridiculous concepts to me because of not only technology, but once you sort of get to a successful position, you have private security.
Oh, so there's no value in your mind of learning a jiu-jitsu or Muay Thai.
No, that's so stupid.
Would there be any?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we'll do. Yeah. All right. Perfect. Thank you.
And do you ever like? Is there any fun in learning a Muay Thai or a jiu-jitsu or like to
No.
fight at a brand risk? I guess there would be the ROI there of money.
Well, yeah, but how long I would need to train to feel comfortable actually going in the ring? Because if you lose, that's a huge like falo, right? Girls obviously would see that clip and it'd be quite brutal. People would sort of have their respect diminished. They would, be thinking in their heads, "Oh, I might be able to beat this guy when I'm IRL streaming." And just it goes sort of like aura mins you, so I wouldn't risk it.
And fail low is similar to like aura loss.
Phalo is flaw.
Flaw. Oh, instead of aura loss.
Well, that's just like I'm just using the Zoomer terms. I wouldn't really ever say that.
Zoomer is aura.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yep. Exactly. So fighting, most garbage thing ever. If I was to have some sort of conflict with someone with the technology that exists today, it's not going to be hand-to-hand combat. Like it's like, you're going to shoot them, obviously.
And you don't, when you're around a Ryan Garcia, you don't feel like there's a kind of, is there a confidence that he has that you can't achieve because you can't win a hand-to-hand combat?
No.
Okay.
No. Because there would never be a scenario where I actually had to fight someone.
Do you think there would be a value for someone unlike yourself that's ascended to specifically social, like, because you've really social maxed to almost, I don't even know how it could get, do you think it could go higher? Social maxing?
Like my status?
Yeah, status maxing, sorry.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Oh, okay, how could it?
I mean, just getting bigger. Like the more,
Okay, interesting.
yeah, the more viewership you get, like the more of a following. Yeah.
Where do you, like, how big do you think it can get?
I have no predictions on sort of where things are going to go.
But is there a goal? Are you goal oriented?
Goals are one of the more cope things because the goalpost moves so frequently, and you have to be aware of that. So if you set a goal for yourself to make like whatever $5 million a month, that goalpost is going to move quite quickly if you're doing something like entertainment. So there's no point of really doing stuff like that.
Yeah, so there's no number in your mind I know Andrew told you like $50 million is a good number. Is there a number in your mind where you think, okay, that's when I can relax or stop? Or is there no stopping for you?
I just think that eventually I won't be able to continue with the substance use and the drug exposure. Your body just gets to a certain point where you can't take it. And like, it might sound like a code, but I really can't do a lot of the things that I do while being sober. It just won't be good content. I won't be able to have fluid interactions. So it almost becomes pointless. So ideally, I just do this for as long as my body can take. And then I go like the more podcast route where I'm just doing more infrequent appearances, and it's a long form setting. So you're still putting a lot of content out there.
Do you find ROI in kind of conversations like this one where you're really diving deep into how you do things and how the looksmaxxing community has evolved?
Yeah, I do, because I think people having an insight into my mentality could be useful, because I consider myself a successful person. I kind of adapted at every point necessary extremely quickly to streaming, and I think how I did that, people are very interested.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I was interested. And then also, do you think society was ready for you? Or not society, more so the online streamer world?
Yeah, it almost feels like the world was sort of waiting for me to come in and do this, because of the current dating market and how bad things are.
Yeah, what do you think of the dating market currently?
I think it's absolutely cooked. And that's one of the things that's been going viral as of lately, was just sort of my experience in nightlife. How many girls have been caught cheating on their boyfriends on my streams, and stuff like that has been like really viral.
And were you expecting that? Like, is that a surprise to you?
No, it's not a surprise to me, because it's the kind of stuff that I would complain about before. I was sitting and doing like videos, like angry ranting on YouTube.
Yeah, I saw those.
Like literally 6 months ago, while I was a chud, and not status maxed, and I was still like kind of fat and bloated and all this shit. So now that I'm like on the other side of it, it's like, yeah, I literally was making videos complaining about this before. And, you know, you might hear that and say, well, oh, if you think this is bad and now you're engaging in it, like, isn't that a little bit hypocritical? It's like, well, there's literally clips, and every single time I find this out, I'll kick out the girl and be like, and sort of embarrass her for engaging in that behavior. And it doesn't really matter too much, even if I weren't going to do that, or even if I didn't do that and still got with her anyway. That just goes to show, like, game is game. Like, you know, hate the game, not the player.
Yeah, hate the game, not the player. Yeah.
You know, so I really don't have too much of an objection to that.
In the dating market, where we see less and less people are dating, less and less people are going out and spending time together, males and females. Mm-hmm. Do you think there's more to blame on one side than the other, male versus female, or?
I think we have a weak generation of men, so it's sort of understandable that women are hypergamous, but I would say the hypergamy from women definitely is to a much greater extent than how dispositioned men are. So I'd say that women probably have a little bit more of a role in things, but the way that I think about it is this society was built, and we have Instagram, which globalized dating, and women are just taking advantage of this system in place. And a lot of women don't really have a strong backbone with sort of avoiding like bad behaviors. So if you're setting up a society, you need to predict female nature. You need to predict the fact that they're not going to be able to be very like strong backbones and they're not going to make the right decision a lot of the time.
Do you think it's nurture or nature for that when you're talking about like the strong nature of a woman that's needed for society?
I think,
is it society? Like, would it be different in a world that doesn't value what we value in a status way?
Obviously, men are going to be a lot better at sticking to some sort of set of principles than women are. But if you have an entire society that's degenerate, that's setting a horrible example, of course they're going to fall into that, right? So just the entire society needs to change. You almost can't single people out and individually go after them for not like adhering to some sort of like insanely strong set of principles, because that's not in their nature to do.
How do you think we fix that? Or do you think it's too far gone?
I would say it's sort of too far gone, and society is just going to kind of go further down the trenches.
So more degenerate.
Yeah, because think about it, right? What ruined dating was really its globalization through Instagram and online dating, where you're competing with not only just your local 20-mile radius, but globally. You have maybe famous soccer players are flying them to Saudi Arabia, right? And shit like that. And you think it's funny, but this is stuff that's happening to, girls I was growing up with in my small town. It's not rare at all. So if you're a normal guy with a normal 9-to-5 job, maybe you're even earning $100,000 a year, which is pretty respectable. You just can't even compete. You're not even close. So in terms of what that's going to do to a society, it's very hard to predict how much people are going to be resentful, how much anger people will have. And I don't want that to be the case. I don't want people to sort of like be super resentful of the other gender or of dating in general. But it's just going to happen naturally.
Yeah. And I feel like it's happening more and more. And then there's even women resentful of other women, men resentful of other men.
Mm-hmm.
And we already live in a truly degenerate society.
Right.
So if it keeps going this way, which it does, I agree with you, feel like it is. If we already feel it's too degenerate, what's it going to look like in 20 years, 30 years? Do you think about that do you want to have kids?
I wouldn't be opposed to it.
Do you think about kind of the degenerate society that is coming to age when you think about kind of offsprings?
Well, it gets to a point where you're sort of able to isolate from society to a degree with enough money. But yeah, no, like you said, it's still bringing kids into an unideal world. But I don't think that's a reason to avoid it.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's unideal.
What gets you fired up? Anything?
Meth.
Meth. How often do you take it? Are you off?
I stopped doing meth a while ago, but now I just take Adderall.
And Adderall, does it give you a similar feeling?
Yeah, it's just any stimulant really.
Okay, but caffeine?
Yeah, I mean, this is just, I'm drinking this for the taste of it. This doesn't really do anything.
And how do you handle what you eat? Do you think about nutrition, or is that a lot of people that count their macros? Or
what really matters is the total amount of macronutrients, not as much where you get them from, and how much the food quality is going to impact you starts to diminish once you finish puberty, once you're already fully developed. So while it's obviously more ideal to get your total macros for the day for something like this, we have like beef, rice, and some broccoli. That's what you want, right? That's the ideal. But say you were to hit the same amount of calories through McDonald's or Burger King, your looks wouldn't really change much unless you have some sort of inflammatory condition, or maybe you don't react to the food too well. So for people with like autoimmune issues, yeah, it'll matter, but that's not as many people as carnivore dietitians like to suggest. So.
Yeah, like here we have a MedRx bar, or somebody would maybe. I saw Santa Cruz came out with his own bars, and they're not paleo, but they're very natural. Do you think, like, let's say they're the same macros, you're not even considering the difference, you're just taking whatever tastes better or in front of you?
Yeah, whatever tastes better, because like I want to be able to eat the same thing every single day, just so that I could sort of create a structure which makes it super easy. Like I have my chef come in and make 40 of these. But if I like a million different things and she has to cook individual shit, it's just gonna
The ROI on that's low.
Yeah, and it's gonna be more of a nightmare to have that organized. So let me just find the best foods that I could consistently enjoy and have a little less value on the quality and ingredients themselves.
Do you have a favorite food? Like I love steak. I love certain pizza spots in New York City.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, like, do you have is that in your mind?
Hamburgers.
Hamburgers, all right.
Yeah, I like hamburgers.
What's your favorite hamburger you've ever had?
I really like Burger King.
Okay, so there's this place in New York City called Fort Charles that is impossible to get into, but the burger is very, very good. Highly respected, one of the best burgers in the world. I put that in front of you, and I put a Burger King burger in front of you. Does it matter to you?
Well, there's a lot more that goes into it than just the burger's taste, right? I like the fact that Burger King is every 2 miles across the country. It's like there when you need it. Whereas this one burger in some random fucking city in the country, even if it's the best burger you could ever eat, you have to go in there. It's like you said, it's impossible to get into.
Yeah.
So it's like, what good is this going to do for me? So it's just the fact that Burger King has my back and it's never going to let me down.
And McDonald's, no?
I bounce back and forth, but I think Burger King is a little better.
Have you had like Five Guys, Whataburger?
And also McDonald's, like, it does let me down sometimes because they listen to this. So I order 2 hamburgers and with no cheese, right? You go.
I saw this. Yeah, no, this was a disaster.
You double down again. It's not like I just said hamburgers, which would imply that I don't want cheese. I also doubled down and said no cheese. So we wait 30 minutes for fast food, which it's a complete disgrace that you could even call it that. I open up the fucking wrapper and I see 2 slices of cheese on both of my burgers, and we're already driving away. It's too late. So that kind of thing just kind of ruined my entire mood for the rest of the stream. So it's just unacceptable.
And Burger King has not done that to you?
Not as frequently. I'd say McDonald's. They certainly have, but McDonald's definitely lets me down.
And you can't have cheese, right? It goes against something.
I'm on Litigiousness, so.
What's that?
It's something that blocks dopamine breakdown in your body.
Oh, okay.
So you're at a consistently elevated state of dopamine.
All right, but cheese would mess it up pharmaceutically or something, or is that the wrong terminology that I just
could
used?
Die.
You could die.
Yeah, so.
And McDonald's, I mean, and you said it multiple times, and someone wouldn't laugh at that if it was peanut butter.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
No, yeah, everyone thinks it's a fucking joke on TikTok and makes like these edits like I'm some sort of fool, but I could literally die from eating the shit. So it's not a joke.
No, yeah.
And so like when I get sad or whatever, they'll like think, oh, I'm just joking. It's like, no, I was, starving, like, and felt like I was gonna die from hunger because I haven't eaten all day. And I waited 30 minutes and there's a fucking slice of cheese that renders the burger
uneatable for you.
Exactly. So, and there's this other clip that occurred the other day where some girl brought a cheese stick to the club. She was like, first I thought she was a fan and was just doing it as a joke, but it was with bad intent. Like she was trying to make fun of me, which I didn't understand at the time till people on Twitter told me. And she opened it up and threw it at me. So,
I mean, that's fucked.
well, I'm going to go back in the VOD and see if I could press charges for attempted murder, because that could have killed me.
No, well, last night someone slapped you. Are you pressing charges on that chick or not?
Yeah, we're pressing charges on her. So I want to get both of those in motion. But the one from last night,
Yeah.
the police report's already been filed.
Oh, okay.
That is going to be pursued to the fullest extent, and
Clear evidence too.
yeah, it's like I sue people all the time. I'm one of the most like litigious with people. So, and everyone's telling me on Twitter, oh, it's unlikely you're actually like able to win some of these cases, but that's not what it's really about for me. It's about like setting an example that you can't just come up and slap someone and not face any consequences.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll even go into a loss financially to take that on.
Do you think a lot about your finances?
Yeah, I would say so.
And you probably have a guy that handles them? Or are you someone that likes to know everything that's going on day to day, profit loss?
I have a lot of employees that oversee different departments of
How big?
work.
How big is your company now?
Well,
Or is it not a company, whatever you want
it's
to
not
call
really
it?
a company. So for example, like, I do stuff with peptides and like people handling all of that kind of stuff. That's one area of it. So not really like one person to just handle all of my stuff.
You sell peptides?
I'm affiliated with that kind of stuff. I'm not
Affiliated.
I'm not gonna go too much into that.
Got
just
it.
for the whole headache behind that. But yeah, no, I work with arcane peptides.
What's your current peptide stack?
Retatrutide is currently all I'm taking peptide wise. I'm gonna have to pin some more of that right probably soon. So that's a GLP-1 agonist, but it goes further and it hits 2 other receptors. So that's also going to hit your GIP and your glucagon receptors. So it's a little bit more intelligently designed than the original GLP-1, which was the Ozempic, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Ozempic is a straight up GLP-1 agonist. It slows your gastric emptying and sort of just nauseates you to a high degree so that you're unable to eat through that pathway. But Reta actually works through like the hunger signalings in your brain also. So it's a little bit better.
Yeah, it's becoming very popular. What do you think of how hard it is to get it legalized in America?
It'll be legalized quite soon. The same way semaglutide has and tirzepatide.
And tirzepatide's like Zepbound, right?
Zepbound, Mounjaro, yeah.
Mounjaro, and that's different than an Ozempic?
Yeah, so that's 2 receptors. That's a dual agonist. Ozempic is a single agonist, and Reta is a triple agonist.
Triple.
But in terms of the receptors, yeah, all very similar.
And are there any side effects to Reta?
Side effects to Reta, yeah, you can have. It's more so when you're first starting Reta that you're going to experience the side effects to the highest degree, like the nausea. I pinned such a high dose that I felt a little bit weaker for the day.
How much milligrams are you on?
How many? I'm on 12 milligrams of Reta.
Okay.
So
and what's the typical like average person that would be on it?
Probably 2.5, I would say.
Okay, so you're 6xing it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you're pretty lean already, though. Like, I mean, you're like lean maxing to the max. Or do you think you can get leaner?
It's not about being leaner. It's about maintaining my leanness. I can't do it without that much Reta. So the Reta, its half-life is over. I have to pin today. So how hungry I get is not something that I could deal with without it. I want to eat.
Ooh, okay.
I want to eat every hour, essentially. And I'd just be spamming fast food overeating, and I wouldn't be able to maintain what I've got going. It's not about getting leaner; it's just maintaining.
And then you can slowly get off of it, I would assume, and not
You have to taper off.
taper off. Yeah. Okay.
But there's no reason to do so.
no reason. Like you could just take rest for the rest of your life, you think?
It's good for you.
All right. That's it.
It's good for your dopamine reward system. It's good for your heart, your lipid profile. So no reason to stop.
I saw some people, well, one of the more interesting aspects of the GLP-1s, the ones that we were just talking about, banks are now banning their employees from using it on their trading team because they feel as if it is taking away their aggressiveness. You're less risky. Is that just a GLP-1 Ozempic opposed to a Ret? And I've also seen people say that like it ruins a lot of relationships sometimes.
I wouldn't. I really wouldn't say that. I'd say that Retta is more likely going to change your work ethic because of the reward system changes, but I don't really think it would have much of an effect on like relationships.
I've seen some TikToks, people have discussed it. I think it's more so people saying that they're with somebody and they get on Retta and then they see, oh, I'm with a loser, either side. I mean, probably more so with females than males.
I think people just apply like nocebo side effects to Retta and like wanna be interesting, wanna like get some sort of virality. So I think that they probably believe that, but they're just pinning Retta and like, okay, I'm gonna document every little detail of what I noticed, and maybe they just happen to stop. Like I don't really think like it comes down to like correlation does not equal causation.
Yeah,
type of thing. There would be no link to that.
And you just said nocebo instead of placebo.
Mm-hmm.
What's the difference?
Well, so like nocebo would be like with dutasteride, how people think that they're getting like erectile dysfunction and stuff like that, and their dick doesn't work.
You've talked about that before. Do you have erectile dysfunction or no?
Not permanently, but when I take different substances like pre-gab, like phenibut, yes, it's very, very difficult for your sexual sensitivity.
And it's more sensitivity instead of like a what's the word? I'm blanking. Your sex drive.
Yeah, it's not really a libido thing.
Libido thing. Okay, so you still have the sex drive, but then the sensitivity is a little bit.
Correct.
What do you think of like
Well, that's anything really. I mean, drinking could do the same thing.
Yeah.
Like whiskey dick has been a pretty popular term.
For forever, and then Coke dick.
Well, that's a little bit different.
Okay.
Because it's to do with your dopamine reuptake rather than like your GABA A agonism. So it's just different, but yes, same concepts, I guess, just different mechanisms.
Yeah, no, they are. It is. You're 100% right in with how it's been. Mm-hmm. In the terminology for a while, so I guess it really shouldn't be that much of a surprise to people. I know that's one of those things that people like. When I was talking to normies about coming and interviewing you, they brought that up a lot.
Yeah, and
what do you think of people, what they say about you? Do you pay any attention to it?
No, like I don't really give a shit about embarrassing myself and being like super open about like what's potentially a huge flaw and like something that if a woman were to see that would be like, repulsed by you if you're not even sexually functional. But I really don't like think about optics too much of anything. What
about your haters?
I think people hate more or less just because of like out of context clips. And stuff like that. And it like I'm really not that controversial of a figure, I would say. Today people are hating because there's just like retards trying to clout chase.
Who was it?
Like the ASU wants to, suggest that I wanted to like, sign him or whatever.
Oh, okay.
But my perspective on it is like we have kind of been going through, and that's why I like to sort of go through my whole mentality so people understand all of my reasonings for things. I've got no moral objection to doing stuff like that. It's just an ROI thing, and it's extremely low because there's just not a lot of career longevity behind that person. I mean,
So you did try to sign him, or was he lying about that?
this is lies.
Lies, okay. And
Yeah.
the ROI, so you don't really even look at him as someone that would be a high ROI for you, like to have in your crew.
And it's just like, I'm sitting here telling my audience, like, I would do something like that, but just not in that example. So it's like,
oh, okay.
So when people accuse me of like being dishonest, I'm like, just not in this context. Like, this is not true at all in this context.
You would sign somebody that you saw would be a star, but you don't think the ASU for athlete, I forget his name, is a star.
Yeah, I don't really think there's a lot of longevity there, but yeah, I've got no like huge like moral. I just really haven't thought about it fully. I don't know, because the thing is, it's like I started streaming, 3 months ago. I'm not even really too set up in my own house.
Yeah, you have a long way to go.
So it's just, it's not something I would really have time for. And so for people to be going and saying like all these things about like taking fucking people into management or whatever, it's like, bro, I need to get my own fucking camp organized.
Do you think you could have a kind of a house per se, or a AM, what's Kai's? I think AMG? AMP, and could you see, or I know Aiden has his own crew. Could you see having your own crew kind of like that, where you are all together and then you kind of sell each other together?
I think that with looksmaxxing, I'm sort of going to be the forefront of the niche for a long time.
Yeah.
So how I kind of organize like the social media presence, I think some sort of content house could work, but I just really don't think that it's that interesting of a concept, because like when me and other looksmaxxers interact, it's really not that interesting, because it's like we'll be talking and saying like the super provocative, or not super provocative, reaction driven things, like the maxing of these words.
The maxing words, yeah.
And not think of anything of it. But what makes it like so captivating is when I say it like completely straight faced to someone who has a crazy reaction. Like, there's no way, like this guy just said like this maxing or speaks this way. So I don't really know how well it would work.
Yeah.
But I'm not opposed to
not opposed to it.
To doing like some sort of more looksmax oriented collab. This isn't the most looksmax oriented streamer. I thought I'd say it's more of like a degenerate run so far.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see. But you could shift. I mean, how you're doing it right now doesn't necessarily mean you'll be doing it like this in 5 years, 10 years.
Yeah. I would say that I want to be more like educational with my content, but sort of the way I've set up my community, it's like a lot of jester maxing, and because I do like a lot of stupid shit. So like people aren't all the time watching for me to do like a sit down, super serious like presentation on looks maxing.
And is that super serious kind of presentation, is that something that you take more joy in than kind of the jester maxing community that you've kind of captivated?
I take joy when people appreciate it, but like we were doing a segment where I was talking to viewers about looksmaxxing advice, and people would join the call and just start like trolling and saying dumb shit, asking retarded questions,
clip farming.
Yeah, and I'm just like, I'm trying to go out of my way to sort of tell you guys what you can do to fix certain flaws of yours, and maybe you're not interested, but there's a lot of people in the audience which would be. And it kind of just kills the entire segment. So we're going to retry that later at some point today, I think.
Okay, cool.
Or maybe tomorrow. We'll see what we have time for, because we got this talent show going on.
Is that tonight?
Yeah, so I'm not sure.
Damn, I know they were doing the sound checking. That was kind of
that's coming up quite soon.
Triggering.
So yeah, no, I want to get back into that, but I just want an audience who is going to be more appreciative of it.
And how do you do that where it's, because it feels as if this beast has been taken out of your hands because it's in the hands of clippers, editors on TikTok. And you're very serious about what you're doing. And I think people often forget that.
Right.
But how do you get it kind of back into the audience that you want? Because I've heard people say that, hey, 1,000 amazing fans that you really like is almost more valuable than 100,000, I guess you could say, jesters.
Yeah, I mean, having a super tight-knit audience is definitely a good thing. So I think I just have to just not look at the chat when I'm doing like the LooksMax segments of people saying like, oh, this is boring. Because a lot of people are tuned in wanting to just see me fucking be all like hyped up on Adderall at the club. But there's my core audience, which wants to see like what actually kind of brought me here, which was like the looksmaxxing stuff.
Well, I would love a looksmaxxing segment right now if I'd be lucky enough to have one.
Sure. Okay. Well, the thing about looksmaxxing that
or suggestions, however you do
right.
it.
Okay, sure. I mean,
and I would love to I'll keep track of it and then maybe come back 6 months, a year, and say, hey, this is what's Clav. And I'm not trying to clip farm or anything.
Yeah, no. So people always like come on and ask like, what could I do to looksmax? And they expect like this immediate turnaround with, visible results in an hour. Or this method. It's like, no, looksmaxxing is not even a linear process where you get better looking every day. It's like you're going to get worse looking at some points, but it'll sort of look like an index fund.
Okay, yeah, ups and downs.
Yeah. So there's a lot of ups and downs as long as you're making progress consistently. If you stretch out the timeline far enough and you have consistently good habits, you're going to look good, right? If you're eating over your caloric limit one day of the week, you're still doing good 6 days of the week. So that might be a setback, but the overall goal, we're still moving towards that. Yeah. So I would say for you, the most visible thing is probably the body fat percentage.
Yeah.
Because you're not even really able to fully analyze what's wrong with your face in a lot of cases if you're not fully chiseled, right? So a big ratio is the width of your cheekbones relative to the width of your jaw.
Okay.
And it should be around 90%. And this is going to be hugely influenced by how lean you are, right? So it could be over 100% if you have a certain bone structure and you're overweight, and then you lean out and maybe the ratio is within the ideal. So you might have been thinking before, oh, I need to do like masseter Botox to atrophy the size of my jaw a little bit. But then you lean out and you're like, oh, wow, this was actually ideal. So you got to get lean really before you could analyze specific.
So first, almost first step is get lean.
Yeah, you got to do it.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing, like getting lean is a very like intuitive thing that you could just figure out on your own without diving into the whole crazy world of Clav looksmaxxing.
Got it.
So if someone's not really like going to already be lean in a lot of cases, it just goes to show that they really don't have too much interest per se in the world of looksmaxxing. Obviously, if someone's in the middle of like a weight loss transformation, then that's one thing. But sometimes people join my call and they're severely overweight and they're like drinking a soda. How can I looksmax? It's like, you know how you could looksmax. I'm not going to sit here and go through all this shit with you just for you to not apply any of it. So
got it.
There just has to be some sort of intent shown, and that's like one of the more obvious ones that everyone knows that you have to do is lose weight.
All right, so that's the first step, and then we kind of we'll come back.
So that's the first step, and like how you go about that. I would suggest a GLP-1.
All right.
If you want some, I have it here.
Yeah, I'll take some 100%.
You want to take Retta?
I'll take Retta. Is this legal? I don't want to.
You have to. It's for research only.
It's research only. Yeah.
So just as long as it's not on the camera, if you want to research it off camera,
I'll research it off camera. I have actually looked into it a lot, but I think Retta would be the first, like a good first step.
Retta would be a good, yes, exactly.
Because one of my bigger issues, I just overeat.
Yeah, and it's hard not to. I deal with the same issues. I've just been on the stuff for longer, right? So I have the technology behind me. So Retta would be the first step. It'll make weight loss a much more tolerable process because you're not just constantly thinking about like, to starve myself. And like, when that's a distractor, you're not as efficient with your work and it's just a huge nightmare, pain in the ass. So Retta is going to serve you well. I would also suggest for the specific type of acne scarring you have.
Yeah, I have that both. Yeah.
Yeah. So like you're going to need different technologies based on the different types of acne scars. So
yeah, no, go ahead. Yeah.
Take a look here. Okay.
And let me go if you want to see the other side too.
So you've got some atrophic scarring.
Yeah.
Also a little bit of what's called post-inflammatory erythema. So that's going to be a combination of therapies. Like, so for the PIE, to sort of get rid of those red marks, there's laser therapies that you can do. And for those atrophic scars, you could do subcisions, and in a lot of cases, fillers is actually useful.
And those are more like the kind of looks like there's bumps in the face.
Mm-hmm. So they'd be able to be smoothed out with doing a needle subcision.
Okay, so that's a good next move.
Mm-hmm.
And anything else?
Yeah. So like in terms of your facial hair, which is very patchy.
Yeah.
It's like chin strapped here.
Yeah.
I would say like lidaring that would
it. Okay.
Yeah, would probably be a good idea. And if you're super keen on like using or having facial hair, you could combine microneedling with minoxidil, with oral minoxidil.
Okay, yeah, and that will typically be used up top, but it can be used here.
It could be used as a pill. You could just take oral minoxidil and have it go systemic.
Okay. Oh, systemic. That's more like just into the body.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, in your system. So doing that would be a good way to give because obviously it looks like you're trying to just give your face a little bit more contrast.
Yes.
And put more of an emphasis on your jaw, which is slightly underdeveloped. So a beard, I would say, would work for you if it wasn't as patchy. Right?
Okay.
It doesn't.
Can I still develop the jaw or no?
Not without surgery. So you need some sort of osteotomy that's going to create new bone so that you can mog with that.
All right. But probably would help even with losing body fat too, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Mostly from the front profile, but it'll also help with your segmental. So like
this is here?
Yeah. Like
okay.
Under your chin.
Under my chin. Okay.
So that'll make your jaw look more forward grown. Your ramus will stand out because the fat behind it will diminish. So yeah, no, it'll help your jaw tremendously.
Okay, cool. All right, yeah. Obviously, the losing the weight, the body fat percentage is a huge thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then the beard, yeah, it's always patchy. It's patchy as fuck. No kidding there.
Right.
And then, but should I even worry about like, what it looks like before because you said it's not linear. It's not like, at this date it's going to be better. Or just
what do you mean?
More so, like, let's say I feel right now this makes me look better.
Yep.
Should I even worry? Like, just get rid of it and then worry about it after that?
No, I think you could just
Ladar it.
No, you could just improve upon it with just starting all of these different treatments, like the minoxidil, starting to dermastamp or microneedle it ideally, and the results will come over time. So maybe it doesn't look as good now. It looks a little patchy, whatever. It'll slowly start to improve. So
okay.
It's just about realizing that looksmaxxing is a long process sometimes, and you just have to be patient with it.
But I'm 29. I'm not too old to.
No.
Okay.
I mean, you're going to be too old to do something like take an aromatase inhibitor and grow taller.
Yeah.
So those things are not able to be accomplished. But everything we're talking about, it doesn't matter how old you are.
Okay, cool. No, that's good. I guess I always thought maybe it's because it's more of a younger community, but I think I guess there's maybe a little bit of a pause with me because it's like, maybe you're past the point in time where
it's a younger community, but
most online communities
just
do.
just because of the culture surrounding it, just because of my age. I think if I was like a Derek, more plates, more dates,
Oh yeah.
sort of figure with it, and I was a little bit older, then the demographic would be much different. But older people don't want to watch like clips, or they don't want to watch like streams of me like in a club.
Yeah.
Because that's just like my streaming is sort of like showing the philosophy and results, and it's like almost an overlook into just all the sociology behind what I talk about, like my experiences with women and navigating the world from a sort of neurodivergent lens. So these are like the themes behind what I'm doing in an IRL stream, which an older demographic wouldn't really be able to be super relatable towards.
They may find it more interesting though, because I think it does show a look at society in a way that other media does not, because it truly is IRL.
Yeah, I don't.
And you get to see behaviors that.
Yeah, I mean,
maybe you're 45. You don't know. I'm not saying they're going to be the ones that are at 11 p.m. on a Friday on Kick, but
it's just more so the fact that people of your demographic are going to consume your content a lot of the time. So like if you're an 18-year-old girl, even if you're making content about like knitting, like it's more likely than not that your audience is also going to be of a similar demographic, like 18 to 24.
Yeah, 100%.
That's just how it goes. But hopefully we could expand. I've met a good amount of people who are, middle-aged and like to consume the content, like to watch the streams. I know my dad watches the streams now sometimes.
You have a good relationship with your dad?
Yeah, he got better recently.
Oh, nice. Congratulations. That's awesome.
Yep. So,
and is your mom, you cool with your mom?
Yeah, I'm cool with them. I mean, sometimes I'll just get a little bit mad about like something I do on the stream.
Got it.
But
they're your parents.
It's like generally been better.
That's
recently.
awesome.
Yeah. So I'm definitely trying to expand looksmaxxing.
Cool.
A little bit, because it's not too far off from the traditional self-improvement stuff. It's just more in depth, I would say, and pushing things a little bit further and sort of like how extreme you may go. But like I said before, with how extreme of a dating market we live in, like this extraordinary world calls for extraordinary measures in a way.
Yeah, and like you said in that, I think you were in your car, you're like, what if it does work out?
Right.
Instead of thinking, what if it doesn't?
Correct. Yeah, I mean, like if you are a sexless guy in a horrible position financially, and you're asking about like what's like all the side effects of these peptides, and like, thinking about worst case scenarios, and not, okay, like how can I circumvent this? And well, what are the pros and the cons? Or, oh, this is too crazy. If those are your thoughts, rather than, what could actually be gained from this, then you just really don't want to ascend enough, in my opinion.
Yeah, you have to take the risk to ascend. Yeah,
because like a lot of the times people will have nothing to lose, literally, and be worried about like the shit that I'm talking about. And it's like
you've already lost.
Yeah, you're already losing.
Or
right?
losing, not lost.
Yeah, you're already losing, because I think that to a degree, almost anyone could recover.
And that's that's something that an incel community should embrace.
Yeah, I would say so. Just kind of being more willing to just dive into the deep end of things.
Take the risk.
Take the risk. Yeah, I would say so.
All right, before I get out of here, thank you for your time. But what do you think of Barstool Sports?
Were
you like, or do you not even?
I don't really know too much about it.
You know Hoopify though.
I do know Hoopify. I think it was a little bit silly of Barstool to let go of him. And, quite honestly, I find the guy to be just kind of annoying, right? I don't really...
Is he a jester?
Yeah, he's a jester. But, like, from a business perspective, I was just like, dude, this doesn't really make any sense.
Personally, I mean, I don't make the hiring decisions. I did recommend him to be hired. He is someone that I thought would have been huge for us, but you know, I don't make the calls.
Yeah, well,
I was the only one that really, well, people did. I did content with him. He was in Chicago. I was in New York, but he was someone that I mean, I enjoyed. He's definitely, like you said, a jester, but I'm more similar to him than to you.
Yeah, I mean, he blew up like with overtime, like sort of right after you guys.
I feel like what really blew him up was also the first time I saw you, which was the Locked In event with Santa Cruz.
Yeah, and that's also what I mean about like how unpredictable a streaming game is. I literally was introducing myself to someone.
Yep.
And it became this like viral.
The Hooperville thing.
Yeah, it became this viral like sensation for like 1 or 2 weeks where people were like remaking the video and they thought it was the funniest thing. I didn't get it at all. I just misheard the guy. So that's why I really don't see a point in clip farming or trying to do like super, you know, crazy shit like that.
When you see shit go viral, are you kind of just thinking to yourself, this is so dumb, how does this even go viral?
Yeah, I'm like, dude, how the fuck do people find this entertaining or like it's like funny? Like I really don't get it.
What do you find entertaining? Learning?
Yeah, I would say that that's probably one of the things that I enjoy the most is learning about new concepts. So yeah. What's
your IQ? Do you know it or no?
Oh, that's a ridiculous metric, especially something.
Oh, okay. It's
not like a ridiculous metric. More so, it's a ridiculous thing to publicize.
Got it.
Because people will take these online IQ tests like 50 times in a row until they get a score that they like. When to get an actually certified IQ test, they have to be taken a certain amount of time between each test, and it's in person, and no one actually does that. So when people are talking about their IQ, it's like this whole LARP, and you know, it's just like a fucking pissing contest. So I never talk about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, are you gonna link with Hoopify anytime soon? Maybe you should go out with him one night.
We'll see. Maybe. I don't know.
All right. Well, I appreciate the time, bro. It was a lot.
No worries.
And where am I on the jester scale?
I don't think you're a jester at all. I think you've been very, very good at interviewing.
I appreciate your insights. You gave me a lot of effort and energy, and I know you're very tired, so I actually really do appreciate it. So thank you, bro.
Hey, thank you. Thanks for coming.
And I hope you have the the camera woman. I don't. You saw. Brianna Chicken Fry said you were her bodyguard. Mm-hmm. That video that went viral where they were kind of calling you like Superman, she was in that video.
Really?
She used to work with Brianna Chicken Fry. That's Peyton.
Yeah. Do you remember that night at all?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that was a couple of years ago now.
Do you remember the night?
It
was in Cape Cod. Right?
Yeah, it was in Cape Cod. Yeah, I do. I remember that there was kids swarming. And it was actually a much crazier thing because they thought that who's her husband?
Zack Bryan.
Yeah, they thought
they broke up though, but yeah.
At the time, they were
together. Yeah,
they thought that he was coming. So no one really was. I don't think anyone actually was there to see her. They were there to see the Zack Bryan guy.
They bought tickets though, right? People bought tickets
today. It was just a bar. It wasn't like an event.
Okay.
But yeah, no, there was like literally like kids trying to like scale the fences and stuff.
Oh my God.
Because of this rumor. And we were like, guys, he's not coming. Like we knew he was not coming. We were telling them this. They were like still trying to bust down the door. And it was just a crazy fucking thing. So that was a rough night. But
thank you, bro.
Thank you. Appreciate it, guys.
Can we just grab that mic that you put on? Appreciate it.